Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday. She tells him she's in church, but she doesn't go. Still she's on her knees, and Scotty doesn't know. Oh, Scotty doesn't know. So don't tell Scotty. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Mame review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bloodstorm, released in 1994 by Strata. This is a one-on-one fighting game that was supposed to be a Mortal Kombat killer, and here's your intro. So basically, this big like emperor guy was killed, and they basically have to all fight over who's going to be the next emperor. There's like all kinds of different characters in this game, and when you see me play here, you'll notice right away how like crazy violent this game is. It's the idea was it was supposed to like be so over the top that people would be like, oh, what Mortal Kombat? What's that game? But since I would figure that most people are hearing about this game for the first time, you can honestly see that never happened, because the proposed sequel, Bloodstorm 2, was cancelled. And the reason that happened was the company Strata actually went under shortly after this game was released. Tempest is actually the daughter of that emperor who was killed, strangely enough. And the character that I'm playing on the right, the purple version, is actually the C1, whereas the green version is the like player 2 or C2 version of the character. Now this game was released in 1994 on the Incredible Technologies 32-bit hardware, which, if you remember correctly, is actually the same hardware that Street Fighter the movie ran on. And you may notice that that's one of the things that actually sets this game apart from a lot of other games, is the dismemberment. Now the game that I always think of when I think of dismemberment is Biofreaks, which I played on the PlayStation, and that was the first game I could remember playing where I could chop people's arms off. I know my friend also played a game called Spawn in the Demon's Hand, I think it's called. No, Spawn the Eternal. That was for PlayStation, and that has some arm dismemberment too. Now, no matter how many times I fight this shadow guy, I always seem to get killed by him. And then that's one thing you'll notice right there. My character actually got both of her arms chopped off, but I could still actually kick and fight, which is kind of a cool thing in this. Now, the only thing you can muster from Shadow here is it must be a female, because when the match starts, it says cat fight, so the Shadow must be a female. And the thing I did learn by reading up on this game is that each of the characters, the hidden ones that you have to fight during like these battles, they're just head swaps of the characters, the normal characters. And now Freon here, he's actually like the Sub-Zero of this game. He has like ice moves that he can freeze you and everything. This game is kind of like a weapons-based slash traditional fighting game, because you have your gauntlet, which is your one hand there. You notice Tempest has this kind of like shield type thing that has points on it, whereas Freon has this kind of hook thing. And it makes for a cool dynamic where if you hit them with your gauntlet in a certain way, you'll chop their arms off. Or if they're really low in health, you might even chop their head off. And now it goes without saying, here's some traditional, cheap, like Sub-Zero type gameplay. I remember when I used to play with my friends, I used to do the cheap Sub-Zero every once in a while. And you saw there what I had mentioned earlier, the chopping the head off at the very end, which is pretty cool. Now this is the reversion 2.22. which actually has a lot of added stuff and a lot of improvements. That's why I decided to play this version, plus it was the parent ROM set. And a lot of people may not know, but this is the quasi-sequel to Time Killers. Sadly enough, this game was supposed to be released on consoles, And in fact, they got as far as releasing they had a prototype version for the 32X, but the game was cancelled and it never got released. From what I read, the game was going to release on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation as well, but those versions were never even made. As the Mame history.dat here says, Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn ports were planned, but they were cancelled within a few weeks, so the prototypes of them don't even exist, unlike the prototype of the 32X version, which I'm not really sure if that's out in the wild, but if it is, I'll look for it. Now this guy here, this crazy guy Talon, he reminds me of like Lex Luthor as you'd see him in some of the DC games. He's got this big like armor thing. And one thing I definitely have to say about this game, although it's very cartoony compared to Mortal Kombat, I love the art style, and I think everything just looks great in this. Even considering this is a game that was made like in 1994, the sprites look really good, and everything just animates really well in this game. As I said, even if it's pretty cartoony, it's still a great looking game. The sound, of course, is a bit over the top, and you'll see the arm chopping off. And of course, if you chop off your opponent's gauntlet, that really does disadvantage him quite a bit. The stages are pretty cool. They do some things like in the background. They're not like as interactive as some games, but then again, you gotta look that you're playing a game back in 1994. So you gotta give them some credit, and as you can even see from the Street Fighter the movie review, the incredible technology's 32-bit hardware was actually able to really push some nice 2D graphics at least, so it wasn't really a pushover when it came to arcade hardware. As you notice what I was doing there is I was desperately trying to knock him off the edge so I could knock him into that giant spike there. Now that's one thing I didn't figure out when I was actually playing this, was how to use the weapons. But I'm guessing it's probably some sort of button combination with your gauntlet button, and then you can use an extra weapon. One of these days I'll probably do a full playthrough of this. I was able to get through like 5 competitors and I finally died. I figured I'd just call it a day for this game. But it's got like really cool looking characters. Like here's this Razor guy, and he can shoot like razor blades and stuff. And whenever I see anyone named Razor, it makes me think of like 2 characters. Either Razor Ramon, played by Scott Hall in the WWF, or of course, if you ever played Maniac Mansion, there's a like rock and roll girl called Razor. And those are the 2 characters I always think of whenever I see anyone named Razor. And the only thing I do have to say about this game is, unless you're really skilled, this game really does favor the button masher. So if you can just button mash faster than your opponent, you can win a lot of the battles. But the only problem is, like you saw with Freon a few battles back, if the AI takes advantage of their special moves like a lot, they can easily beat you. I think some of the Mortal Kombat games actually did that, like closing of the door like that. And what I'd actually done here is I'd actually lost my original fight to Fallout here, but then I fought him again and I won. So I just cut out the loss, because what's the point of watching me lose yet again? But every time it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like Mega Man, because every enemy you fight has a special weapon, and by beating them, you gain the ability to use it. So it's kind of a cool concept, and I guess used strategically, they actually would give you quite an advantage. And you'll notice those special moves that I'm throwing here and there are the like little whirlwinds. That's like Tempest's special move. And I got his ER cannon. And instead of showing you me losing to Shadow yet again, I'm going to show you a fight from earlier in my gameplay. I actually fought Mirage, who is the other female character in this game. So I figured instead of yet again seeing me lose to that Shadow guy, I'll show you this fight. Although strangely enough, I didn't notice it until I'm recording this commentary. This is in the exact same stage as the Fallout battle, but as you can see, this game is actually quite a colorful and action-packed game. The only downfall is it seems to favor the button masher, but I imagine if you're on higher difficulty or you're fighting a human opponent, you could really like get some intense battles going on here and there. But yeah, Bloodstorm is quite a great game. Sadly, it didn't get its sequel, didn't get its console ports, and is a very underappreciated game. And I would recommend this to fighting game fans, especially like Mortal Kombat or even Killer Instinct or something like that, that requires a lot of different combos and stuff. But yeah, this is just one of those fun games that I would recommend at least giving a try, if not like long playing too much. Really good game, and this has been another Game Nexus Mame review, and I shall see you later. Bye.